Hello, Mighty Warriors. This is Alicia, and I'm back for another discussion on the mighty Word of God. Today, I want to talk to you about those times in your life when you are going through it and you are wondering, where is God? And I want to share an example, sort of a testimony about this very issue. So, a lot of you are very familiar with the stories of Daniel and his experience with the lion's den. And you're probably familiar with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego and their experience with the fiery furnace. And you're probably familiar with Esther and her experience with Haman and him attempting to wipe out her people. And so you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with my situation? Well, all of these individuals in the Bible were in a bad situation. And we often in this life find ourselves in bad situations as well. Okay. The evil day. The evil day is that day where everything sort of comes to a head, and then you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. Am I going to believe God and do what He asks? Or am I going to try to intervene on my own strength? Right? And so, I've been there. I've been in situations where I was praying and asking God, to help me get out of a situation. Lord, I'm in this situation. Please help me get out of this situation. Please move in this situation. Please do something in this situation. You probably are familiar with the story in the Bible where Jesus is on the boat and the disciples are in the middle. They're experiencing this storm and they're afraid, and Jesus is asleep on the boat on a cushion. And they're like, don't you care that we are perishing? And so I'm talking about that moment in life where you feel like you're perishing. Like, if you don't get some help from Jesus, it's a wrap, right? I want to talk about situations like that in life, okay? Because these are the situations where God may not remove the situation. He may not just pick it up and do away with it, but He will actually do better. He will join you in it. He will give you victory in that situation. And if you think about it, that is a way better show of His power and His glory than to just remove it, right? He really gets the glory in that matter when He is joining you in it and He's giving you victory in it. I mean, imagine the victory of being in a fiery furnace, right? Where obviously you should have been burned up, you should have been destroyed, but you emerge without a touch on you. Imagine the victory that had to bring to that situation, right? The affirmation that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was the one true God, and that He was going to intervene in that matter, and He was going to protect His people, right? Or imagine the victory that Daniel felt to be in the lion's den and to emerge without a hair out of place, without any any issue at all from those lions, right? Imagine the power and the glory that God gets out of a situation like that when you have no power, okay? Where if He doesn't show up, it's a wrap, right? But He shows up, and not only does He show up, He shows out. Or in the situation of Esther, right? Where the Jewish people are in this very weak position. This position of, if they don't get intervention by God, it's a wrap, right? And all they have is him. These are those times where God can show up and show out. When we are weak, that's when he is strong. When we are weak, that's when he can give us victory in a situation, and that's when he gets the greatest glory and the greatest power. And he wants us to give him that opportunity. In a situation that I had, I was like everyone else working during the pandemic and completely burned out. I felt like I was living the same day repeatedly for 2 years. And then on top of that, I wasn't really getting the help with my children that I felt like I should have been getting. So on top of working full-time, paying the bills full-time, pretty much doing everything that was related to the household alone and by myself, I just was feeling sort of like something was going to break in me. If something didn't give, something was going to break. And so then God, he told me, he was like, I want you to do this thing. I want you to quit your job. And I told you guys about this. This testimony is all through this channel. And I remember thinking to myself, Lord, you are going to have to confirm this, because I know, at this time I had learned by 2 or 3 witnesses shall his word be established. So whenever God tells you to do something, I always look for 2 or 3 witnesses to confirm that it is him, and confirm with his word that it is him. And so I was like, Lord, you're going to have to bring me a whole bunch of witnesses to confirm this, because I am the breadwinner. I am the one who is providing the majority of the financial stability. And if I do this thing, it's going to throw my family into chaos. And, basically, if I do this thing, it's a wrap, right? But at this point in my walk with God, and this is important, why you should be walking, you should be, seeking a relationship with God, seeking to have experiences with God, because he is going to walk with you, and he will strengthen your faith step by step. And then one day when he asks you to do something hard, it won't be as hard as you think, because all the things that he's done in the past. You've seen his work, and you're like, I've seen your work. It is amazing. And, this thing is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it because I want to see your work again. And so, I decided that I was going to put him first. And I have decided that, I'm going to put God first, period. But even when this thing happened, I decided I was going to put him first and do what he asked. And I wasn't going to let anyone stand in my way. So, as you can imagine, that doesn't always go over well with a lot of people. A lot of people want to, put their 10 cents in, 2 cents, whatever, however many cents, and, act like you're crazy, act like you're nuts. And then for some, you really get to see how your employment situation was really what the relationship was about. Some people keep you around because of what you can do for them, not necessarily who you are. And that's very revealing as well. And actually quite a lot of a blessing. I actually had 2 people who claimed to be my friend. Completely, like, as soon as I told them I stopped working where I was working, it was almost like I didn't exist anymore. I mean, as far as I know, they blocked me. I mean, it's crazy, like within 30 seconds of the announcement. So this is the thing that I'm telling you. Not everybody is going to understand or be on board or have the faith that you do. And a lot of people are going to treat you as if you are crazy. But if you have a relationship with God and you've seen his work, you've seen what he's done in the past for you, it's not such a stretch for you to take this step and for you to keep taking bigger and bigger steps of faith, because he is wanting you to have an experience with him, and you can't have an experience with him unless you have faith, because without faith it's impossible to please God. So what I experienced with God is that, when he puts you through these situations, before, you kind of go through a little bit of a testing period. He's going to see, are you going to put him first? Are you going to put him first? And then he's also going to test, he's trying to work some stuff out of your personality as well. He wants to humble you if you are not humble. He wants to get the greed out of you if you are greedy. He wants you to get the pride out of you if you are prideful. He wants you to know that he is your source and everything else is just a resource. And so when I took this step of faith, he did all that. He did all that. He humbled me. He got rid of some pride. He let me know who was boss, and that I wasn't running anything, and even if I thought I was. And he always made sure I had what I needed, and that my kids were taken care of. And he found ways to provide for us, even through people who might have been doing it not for the right reasons. And so you have to understand that God will use people who are doing things not for the right reasons to bless you for the right reasons. And so, however he chooses to do those things, it's his prerogative, but he is never late. He is never late. I mean, I remember there were instances where I had, over the years, everyone has like that father-in-law or that relative that for Christmas gives them like coins, right? And so for a long time, I just would take these coins and be like, what? And then put it in a drawer, right? Because it was a coin. Like, I don't collect coins. Like, is this 1963? Like, who collects coins? So anyway, but when I remember there was a point where I was low on funds and I was like, Lord, what am I going to do? When are you going to show up in this situation? It is getting down to the wire here. And I remember he gave me sort of like a look in your drawer, right? And I could feel it in my spirit. And he was like, look in your drawer. And so I looked in the drawer and I was like, okay, these coins. And realizing that the coins were not just coins, they were silver coins and gold coins and coins that were worth money. And I could take to a dealer and get, immediately money for. And I'm telling you, he takes care of you. He's not, you cannot bow to the systems of this world. The systems of this world were not created by him. They were created by the enemy. A lot of these systems of this world are there. They create fear because they want to keep you in line to the system. But God is not a slave to that system. He exists outside of the system. And he wants you to know that he is your source. Everything else is a resource. And if your resource is closed down over here, he can create another resource over here. He can use a resource over there. There's another resource that he can raise up for you over there. So what I experienced is just seeing all the ways that God created resources and sources for our family so that we could survive. Family members that just were so faithful and just out of the goodness of their heart or the prompting of the Holy Spirit just were giving to my kids and, made sure that they wanted for nothing and that they had school supplies and it, just so much that he did. And, that early period of time. And then at the end, then my husband gets a new job, and this new job is going to greatly increase his income, give us the insurance that we need, and just provide for us the way that we needed for stability's sake, because I know that the Lord is with us no matter what. He paid my student loans off. Let me tell you, that was like the one thing that I was most concerned about. Like, I'm going to have to go back to work to pay these loans because your girl went back to school and got a master's degree. And then the job that I had would never let me rise above a certain level, even though, everyone around me rising had like a high school diploma or, just a bachelor's. Your girl, and that's another thing. Do not let this world convince you that you got to go and spend all this money and get all this education. That rule does not count for everyone. There are people in this world who they rise and they rise and they rise in their career, and they don't have any of those types of degrees. And then there are people who get those degrees, and it's like there's this system that keeps them down. And maybe in my situation, I think God was just wanting me at a certain place. So I'm not going to say that it was the people or the system. It could have been just God, and that I was being angry because I couldn't get where I was trying to go. But the Lord was like, you want to manage something? Manage your household. So I'm like, okay. So I'm here now and I'm managing my household. But all in all, God will take care of you. He is your source. Everything else is a resource. You cannot be a slave to the systems of this world, because in the end times, that's what's going to happen. That evil day is going to be forcing this system on people, and people are either going to comply or they're going to reject it. And if you let the pressure of the world cause you to usurp what God told you not to do, then you're going to crumble under the pressure. And so what God showed me is that there's no need to crumble under that pressure, because He can provide. He can provide for you in the darkest of times. He can provide you in times where it seems like there is no resources around. I remember my husband met a friend who was a farmer, and this farmer had, he was older, and he just had an abundance of things that he would give to us. Eggs. We would get cases of eggs and vegetables and fruits and just all types of produce. And, God provides. He has ways of providing for you. So do not be afraid of that evil day. Let Jesus join you in it so He can show up and He can show out and He can get the glory through your situation. He may not wipe the situation away. The situation may stay just like it is. But if He can show up in it and He can get the glory and other people can see it, and He can be glorified and He can advance His kingdom through your situation, those are the types of situations I think that He's really looking for. Those are the type of situations that I think really get his blood flowing. Okay. If He wasn't a spirit, But we also know that Jesus is partly man, partly God, fully man, fully God, actually. Let's run that back. He's fully man, fully God. And so He knows the situations that we go through. He knows, the struggles and the pressures that we're put under. And He just wants you to not be afraid, because He's so much bigger than all of that. Like there's this, I don't remember where I heard this story, but there's this image, I think a story someone told me, where the devil is like so small that he's in like God's hand, and then God is just so big, like there's nothing that can contain Him. He He exists outside of the universe. He's so big. Your God is so big. You don't even understand. Look outside of your window. He created that. He created the sun. He created the trees. He created it all. And that's just part of what we know that he's created. Okay, we've not explored the universes. We've not explored all of the solar systems and things that he's made. Your God is big. Don't shrink him down to bite size. Give him the credit where credit is due. And if something comes up where, and this is the thing, with Esther, she said, if I perish, I perish. If you perish, at least you took that walk of faith, that step of faith, right? And if by taking that step of faith, you have pleased him, because you can't please him without it. And there's something waiting for you for doing that, for being brave and being courageous and taking that step of faith. He's got rewards for you for that. I think Stephen in the Bible, he refused to back down and he was stoned to death, but his death sprouted so many other believers. He was like a seed and who had to go into the ground and die, but then he sprouted all of these other believers because he was willing to die for the truth. So we shouldn't be afraid no matter what happens. We should walk into the situation knowing that God is going to show up in it and he is going to show out in it no matter what the enemy and what the pressure is being put on us. And if he doesn't, and if we perish, then Jesus is waiting on the other side. He is encouraging us and he is waiting for us from the other side. So anyway, this video, of course, my videos keep getting so long. I'm so sorry. I try to keep them short, but what can I say? Thank you for tuning in to this video. I hope that this blesses you. Pass it on to someone if you feel like they need encouragement. And until next time, in the next video, be baptized and be blessed. Bye.